organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, see what President Obama said during his stop in Cedar Rapids Wednesday morning.
Plus, find out how one local cattle farmer is thriving while farmers elsewhere suffer.
And in sports, see the surprise that Iowa basketball team has in store for an upcoming game against Penn State.
That's all coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
From Studio 151, your television news, sports, and weather source for the Daily Iowan, this is Daily Iowan TV.
Thanks for tuning in to your Wednesday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Brad Maxwell.
And I'm Allie Wright. The president's first stop after last night's State of the Union address was right next door in Cedar Rapids. Today, President Obama stopped at a factory and spoke mainly about creating new jobs through manufacturing. Daily Iowan TV's Jake Abrams was in Cedar Rapids covering the event.
Just 24 hours ago, President Obama delivered his third State of the Union address in Washington, D.C. But just 13 hours later, Air Force One touched down in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to reiterate his visions to build a lasting America. The president arrived here at Conveyor Engineering and Manufacturing in Cedar Rapids to stress his points about building an America to last and building an economy to last through building more jobs through manufacturing. Before his speech today, Mr. Obama was able to meet with the owner of Conveyor Engineering and Manufacturing to discuss how he plans to implement these new policies and old policies in business here in Cedar Rapids. The president also talked about that in his speech. Just take a listen right here.
Thank you. Hello, Iowa. Hello, Cedar Rapids. Last night, in the State of the Union, I laid out my vision for how we move forward. I laid out a blueprint for an economy that is built to last. It's an economy built on American manufacturing, with more good jobs and more products made right here in the United States of America.
And then the president also spoke about building on progress that the administration has already achieved. So what exactly did he mean by that? Well, he wants to provide tax incentives to help businesses grow and invest. He also wants to provide tax incentives to support domestic investment in clean energy, technology, manufacturing. He also wants to temporarily cut taxes to increase investments and jobs, as well as crack down on overseas tax avoidance and loopholes. Now, these were all points that the president made last night in the State of the Union, and many locals in Iowa City were pleased with what Obama had to say.
I think it's a very, very good speech since Barack Obama touched on all important issues.
I think that more change needs to be done, and I think that he referred to what has happened in the past few years as America has gotten better.
So now he travels on to 4 more states. He was also in Arizona earlier tonight speaking about other points that he addressed in his State of the Union speech, but he was here in Cedar Rapids today, and the town was very excited to have him. From Cedar Rapids, Iowa, covering President Obama, Jake Abrams, Daily Iowan TV.
Pick up tomorrow's Daily Iowan for a full story and photos from Wednesday's event.
The president wasn't the only member of the first family on the road today. First Lady Michelle Obama spent the morning talking to elementary school parents in Alexandria, Virginia about new school lunch standards. New guidelines will require schools to offer fresh fruit and veggies and offer more whole grains.
A University of Wisconsin senior official has resigned after allegedly making unwanted sexual advances toward a male student last December. John Chadima was the Senior Associate Athletic Director at UW-Madison. Chadima said in a statement that he accepts full responsibility for his actions.
And 2 hostages kidnapped in Somalia are in safe hands tonight after Obama approved an overnight rescue operation by Navy SEALs. The president offered the rescue of Jessica Buchanan and Dane Powell because Jessica's health was declining. Officials said the team sent in from the same unit that killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan last year.
Still to come on Daily Iowan TV, find out why pork and other meat products may be more dangerous than once thought.
Plus, in sports, see what Coach Bluer said during her press conference today as Iowa prepares for a road trip to Lincoln.
But first, let's check in with Muriel Kone to get a look at your weather forecast. And Muriel, it wasn't too terribly cold outside today. Is this something we can get used to?
Well, Allie, Thursday looks to be pretty similar to Wednesday, but I wouldn't get too used to it because it will start cooling down again as we make our way to the weekend. Expect about 28 degrees and mostly sunny skies Thursday morning, and it should get all the way to 39 degrees by midday. Then it will dip back to 26 degrees and some cloud coverage will move in on Thursday night. Looking ahead, there's a chance of snow during the day on Friday, and temps will cool down into the low 30s and 20s as we get to the weekend. It will start warming up again as though we make our way into next week, and we may actually see some rain as opposed to snow next Tuesday. So aside from the weekend, we'll be seeing some unusually warm winter temps in the next few days. Back to you guys at the desk.
While the livestock industry may be facing some difficult times, one beef producer in the area is optimistic about the future of the business. Daily Iowan TV's Josh Bolander has more.
This is Steve Swanka's family farm. His fourth-generation home welcomes its guests with a hot cup of coffee, pictures of family and friends on the fridge, and his trusty John Deere is always close by.
I'm the fourth generation. Yep, I'm the fourth generation here. My sons constitute the fifth generation.
While walking by his pitchfork leaning against the home, grain elevator by the barn, and seeing the beaten-down path that leads to the farm's field, it's easy to overlook Swanka's passion and moneymaker, cattle. A livestock industry that has hit rough times as of late, but a business Swanka says is still very profitable.
We're knocking on the door some record level prices for the cattle, both fat cattle, bred heifers, and feeder calves.
Just how profitable?
For the longest time, 600 weight calves would probably bring 85 to 90 cents.
And now?
Now the same calves, the 600 weight calves will knock on the door of, $1.50 a pound, and it's not uncommon to hear about some 6-weight calves bringing $1,000 even.
While times may be good for Swanka and his farm, he does, however, acknowledge that things may be different in other parts of the country.
Talk to some drought-stressed areas like Oklahoma, Texas, down in there where, the cows are really leaving the country in a big way.
Josh Bolander, Daily Iowan TV.
Swanka plans on handing over the farm to his son, who will become the 5th generation of Swanka Farms in Tiffin.
An Iowa civil rights pioneer and former University of Iowa student is the focus of a new Iowa public television documentary entitled Lost in History, Alexander Clark. Clark sued the school district in Muscatine, Iowa when his daughter was denied admission into the white public school. The case made it to the Iowa Supreme Court, leading to the landmark ruling that segregated schools were unconstitutional in Iowa, nearly a century ahead of the rest of the country. The documentary will premiere on Iowa Public Television on Tuesday, February 7th at 6:30 p.m.
Store-bought meat in the United States may contain more bacteria than originally thought. Daily Iowan TV's Nick Rector was able to take a look at the recent UI study on the issue.
A recent study by Iowa's College of Public Health shows that our retail meat may not be as clean as we think. Apparently the bacteria, called MRSA, carries staph infection, an infection that can cause life-threatening illness in the bloodstream, lungs, skin, and other organs. This problem may seem local, but it's not.
Definitely a worldwide problem. There have been some studies from the Netherlands where they found meat products as high as 30% of them were contaminated with MRSA, so they seem to have it even worse than we have it here.
Researchers collected 395 raw pork samples from Iowa, Minnesota, and New Jersey. In this meat, they found that 7% of it carried MRSA.
What we're most concerned about is not consuming meat products because this would be cooked, but people who are handling it and getting it in their kitchens and potentially spreading it on their counters.
But with 7% of our raw pork containing MRSA, why aren't more people getting sick?
Physicians don't realize that MRSA is potentially on meat products, so it's not something that would come to mind when you come into their office with a staph infection, is to ask if you handle raw meat products. So people may be getting sick and just not realizing it.
UI researchers have begun another study on the MRSA bacteria, but for now, eat the meat, don't prepare it. Nick Rector, Daily Iowan TV.
Experts advise consumers to handle raw meat with caution and cook it thoroughly.
Now, we all know Iowa State University as a fierce rival of the Hawkeyes on the field and court, but the two schools were able to put aside that rivalry this past weekend in Ames. Leaders at Iowa State announced today that they raised $380,000 in the school's dance marathon this year. That money will go to the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. A record 880 students attended the 15-hour event, which celebrated its 15th anniversary this year. The University of Iowa Dance Marathon is scheduled for February 3rd and 4th.
Another thing I think Iowa and Iowa State can agree on is their dislike for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, as both the teams, the men and women's teams, are preparing for contests against the red and white from Lincoln. Let's go to Daily Iowan TV Sports' Lauren Moss to see what the Hawks are doing to prepare.
Thanks, guys. The Hawkeye women's basketball team are in danger this season of not making the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2007. And with 2 games in 3 days coming up at 19th ranked Nebraska and home against 13th ranked Purdue, the team is desperate to improve its 11-9 record.
We need to get it going. We need some wins. It's not an easy week to have that happen, but we need to make it happen. I mean, we need to have a quality win or 2 in our resume, and this is an opportunity for us to get it.
The season's not over till it's over. You know, we still have, what, 8-9 games left. A lot can happen. A lot has happened in the first 7, so, you know, it's not ever over, and we have something to fight for, obviously.
I think we just need to have confidence down the stretch. We've talked about that a lot, that you know, we play really good for 35 minutes of the game, then the last 5 minutes we just give away our win. So I think we're definitely going to be focusing on that.
Again, we're so close to winning so many of these games that it gives you, you know, I'm optimistic that it can happen, but we have to play a 40-minute game. And but we've been there. We've been right there with the top teams in our Big Ten. So I don't think anybody looks at us and thinks, oh, you know, I think they look at us and think we're pretty dangerous.
The game in Lincoln on Thursday against the Cornhuskers is scheduled to tip off at 7 p.m. Central. On February 4th, the men's basketball game against Penn State will be one to remember, not only for what happens on the court, but also for what Iowa will be wearing. Next Saturday, the team will be sporting throwback jerseys from the 1986-87 season. Former UI head coach Tom Davis and a majority of the players from the 87 team will also be reuniting in Iowa City for the game. That team, which was top-ranked team in the country for a number of weeks during the season, set the program's single-season records for win and was 1 game away from earning the program's 4th Final Four appearance. 8 players from the 87 team went on to get drafted into the NBA, and several others pursued professional careers overseas. Tip-off for the game is set for 2 p.m., but Iowa must now prepare for Thursday's contest against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. That's your Hawkeye sports update. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Lauren, and before you leave, take a look at this. For many, football players and other athletes, being able to lift twice their body weight is expected, but a Colorado girl is turning heads with her ability to do just that. 13-year-old Abby Watson started lifting 3 years ago and already holds 8 world records, and she also holds 23 U.S. and state records and hopes to one day compete in the Olympics.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek into Thursday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Find out why the UI's exchange programs to Mexico and Canada are being cut.
Plus, how the women's basketball team is preparing to face 2 top 25 teams in the next 3 days.
That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out at the same time tomorrow or anytime at dailyiowan.com. Thanks for watching and have a great night.